And I just wanted to introduce each one of you to Cheryl from my heart. Cheryl is someone who I met through another individual that was part of the LEAP community. Her name is Julie Jones. Many of you know her. And she met Cheryl, and she came to me and said, oh my gosh, Cheryl did an Akashic record reading with me, and it was amazing. You got to try it. And I was like, really? I've never had an Akashic record reading. What is this thing? So I reached out to Cheryl and I scheduled my reading. And I just felt this major connection. You know how when you meet someone, like my last business coach I hired, no joke, y'all. I went into a networking event like this, sat here, and I was like, I need to hire her. And I literally reached out to her and I said, I need to hire you. And that's how I, got started with my first business coach. So I felt that way with Cheryl, and my time, I hired Cheryl at that moment, and my time spent with Cheryl really was at the time of my life when I needed. It was right after kind of the partners split up and everything. I had Cheryl, and she really helped me spiritually. She helped me visualize things that I was struggling to let go of. And I am so thankful for what she brought into my life and how she coached and assisted me through the things I needed to get through. So she's so fun. She's come to my clients and she's trained my private clients, and I've had her in here. I've had Susan in to train my private clients. And she changed the lives that day in my clients, and how she really connected with each one of them spiritually. So you guys are really in for a treat today, because she's so much more than just embracing the inner pilot. As you can see, look at her. She's a pirate today. Today, she's going to be talking about breaking the rules, stop conforming, hell yeah, and start creating. And I love that, because there's so much more to Cheryl than just her words. You feel her energy. So Cheryl, we're excited to learn from you today. Let's go.
Well, thanks, Colleen. And I'm so thrilled to be here. And before we get started, I'm just going to ask you to take a moment and really connect with what makes you come alive and compels you to do what you do. Just take a moment to just be really present with this great calling you have, this deep meaning that calls you to be who you are, and the courage that you have already displayed to go deep and trust yourself at a deeper level, and then to act on that trust. And take a moment to really acknowledge and find that still point, because that is your anchor. That is your North Star. That is your beacon. And sometimes we don't take the time to really solidly anchor that in with gratitude for what we've already done and accomplished, and that sweet savoring of yourself and the depth of who you are. So I invite you to breathe that deep, and the liftoff point for us today is you've already created so much, and there's so much more. And so I love the archetype of the pirate. And I'm going to ask you to invite your pirate to be here with you today. That archetypal energy that breaks the rules and says, you know what? I am going to go out and do it. And I'm going to do it my way on my terms. We all have muses that work with us. The pirate represents the sacred rebel within you that will defy the conditioning that you grew up with, that will defy the conditioning that exists in the world. So when we defy conformity and choose to create from this newness within us, great courage is required. Would you agree? So let's go there because the pirate reminds you of grit, grace, and greatness. The grit to believe in your greatness and the honor that has been bestowed upon you to live that greatness in this lifetime without apology and without fear. And I'm going to invite us today to make fear our best friend, because resistance will absolutely guaranteed come up for you as you go in to create the new. I guarantee it. And if you're like me, I just want to have more fun with resistance. I spent too long at the mercy of the critical voice that had a death grip on me. It wasn't fun. It was horrible. And when I thought about doing something new, this feeling in my solar plexus that would rise up and it'd be like, ugh. I call it the hairball of the soul. So, so it's like, wait a minute, can we not start having more fun with this? Like, does it always have to be so painful? And so I'm going to call in the spiritual side of all of us, that which within us, which is timeless, that within us that is beyond the five senses. And so imagine putting on a pair of glasses and you have a choice to look through your life and what you want to create next through past conditioning or through creativity, the greatness within. So I'm going to throw you into an exercise here, because if you can have an experience today, that's worth everything. And the synchronicity of us all being together, whether you're here live with me now and you can feel the energy moving between all of us, you can feel it. As you look on the screen, you can see it for each other. We're all highly intuitive here. We've come into the world to do great things. And we've come into the world to recognize that there is an inner conflict within each of us that we're being asked to resolve, because that resolution is the reflection in the outer world. And right now, as we're surrounded by horrible things happening in the world, our ability to hold fast and true and use our individual lives as beacon points of power and hope, that is our contribution to the world. That is our contribution. The more that we release ourselves from the grip of the critical voice, the more the powers in the outer world that would seek to hurt and harm are diminished. There is a direct correlation between what each one of us do individually and what is happening in the outer world. So that's why I love the image of the pirate. It reminds us as an archetypal energy that we must be bold. We must stand up for what we believe in, and we must be willing to go into the unknown, feel the fear, and use it as energy to transform. Fear is not to be feared. Fear is an energy for us to use productively and effectively. So let's go into this exercise. I'm going to ask you to look into your past. And if there was one thing that you wish, or one skill you wish you had had years ago when you were first starting out, what is that one ability or skill that if you could do it all over again, yeah, it would have been that. If I had been able to do that way back then, it would have made such a difference. So just take a moment to pause and think about that. And I'm just going to invite you too, if you'd like to share, what is that one thing that, man, if you knew that back then, it would have just rocked your world? What is that for you? And you can share it in the chat or share it out loud.
I'll share mine out loud. So if I would have known, honestly, how to generate income so easily, there's no way I would have stayed in corporate America as long as I did. It just would have changed everything for me from when I was a single mom and struggling and all of these areas. My mindset was so different back then. If I just would have known the energy surrounding money, that was something that I just was taught, and it was just beat into me that it's hard and it doesn't grow on trees and you're never going to have a lot of money and you're not, you'll never be a millionaire. You'll, just all of that old ways of thinking. That was for me. So thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, thanks, Colleen. So find whatever that is in you, similar to what Colleen did, and let's use that as a touch point, okay? Because I want to talk about energy, and Susan, who's written the book on money, really identified something very, very important. There are energy fields that we're not aware of. And there are energy fields that have blind spots that are just waiting to be revealed. And so the courage of the pirate comes down to three things: create, from commitment, from conviction, and from courage. Now, those four, I call them the 4 C's. You want to sail the 4 C's? Okay, you're going to do it with courage, creativity, commitment, and conviction. Now, when we have conviction, there's nothing we cannot do. But when you're on stormy seas and you're going through one of those comfort zone dimensional shifts, I'll tell you, you are brought to nothing. You are brought to the void. You are brought to complete and utter, and this sounds like a big word, but it's an important word, complete and utter annihilation. It is a surrender. Do you agree, Lil? It's a surrender to something greater. It's the willingness to let go of the known and step into the unknown. And the pirate archetype is, can we start having more fun with this? Does it have to be so hard? Does it have to be so scary? And the morphic field that I'm talking about, I love referencing Power versus Force by David Hawkins. The scale of consciousness is a treasure map inside each one of us. And the defining moment to go from the lower energy to the higher energy, the defining emotion is courage. And so our call to courage is that pirate that goes, "Arr, matey, you feel good about yourself right now, no matter what you're going through." It is the call to sovereignty. It is the call to the willingness to let go of the attachment to negative emotion that keeps us from experiencing the fullness of life. And I highly recommend a book by Peter Michelson called Self-Sabotage. Highly recommend it. He's the first author that was able to identify the saboteur to me. There it is. I recommended it to Susan and she's loved it. She power read it, Freedom from Self-Sabotage. This man is brilliant. He's amazing. I haven't done a review yet for him on Amazon, but I will. So what he's identified in there is that there is an infantile consciousness that is formed when we're babies. Now, a baby is absolutely helpless, totally reliant on its outer environment. That infantile consciousness is something that remains inside of us. And it's important for us to recognize that although a mother knows she's going to give her bottle to the baby in a second, to that baby, a second doesn't count. To that baby, it wants it and it wants it now, because if it doesn't get it, it feels like it's going to die. Now, that's what comes up for us when we're making transition and change. And our ability to recognize that there is a part of us that is unconsciously attached to staying in an energy that was so familiar. We have an unconscious attachment to it. And I loved the way he writes about this, and here's why. When you recognize that it's not your fault, when you recognize that the entire human race suffers from this sense of not being enough, every time you go into something new, that consciousness will be challenged and it will not want to let go. So here is the hope and the power and the promise of this inner pirate, is that through self-awareness, we have the ability to recognize our, as he says, unconscious collusion to self-defeat. That was profound for me, to recognize that at some level deep in the unconscious, I was participating in an unconscious collusion. So I'm just going to ask you to go there now, because the more you can go there, admit that to yourself, and actually put yourself in that position right now. Yep, I see where I am staying in the comfort of conformity. Yep, I can find that place in me, many places. Now here's the question. Are you willing to have the courage to love yourself enough to let it go? Or do you need to stay there? So in Power versus Force, David Hawkins talks about morphogenic fields. These fields of energy are very strong. And so if something's not working in your life or in your business, it'll come down to one thing and one thing only. Your willingness to surrender to the ultimate good in your life. And in spiritual terms, what I would say that is your willingness to surrender the small self to the bigger self. The willingness to surrender the pain of the past to the glory of what wants to express itself through you. There is glory inside of us. You know that because you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. And so my question today is, can we have more fun doing it? So here's an exercise to work with. As you know, the more we go into imagination, the more we are drawing on the energy of power. And again, in Power versus Force, keep in mind that this power inside of you is so present that you miss it. You don't see it because it's so close. So the question is, when you are about to create something new in your business, are you looking through the lens of past conditioning, or are you looking through the lens of truth? Are you looking through the lens of past conditioning, or are you looking through the lens of what brings real meaning to you? And I call that clean energy. And Melissa Deely isn't here today, but I'm working with Melissa. Many of you here know Melissa, who is an amazing, amazing healer and educator. So we work together, and she does her thing with the body, and I do my thing with spiritual detox. Melissa's big on detoxing the body. So here's the spiritual detox. And it's important. Are we running on clean energy? And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of activity out there on social media and different ways of marketing. And I mean, my email is inundated with new ways of doing things. And it's like, at times it's overwhelming. And it's confusing because it's so like, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And like, what do I do? And so we can go into paralysis, and we can go into self-judgment because we're comparing ourselves to what we feel is this idea of perfection out there. That's a lot of pressure to work with. Would you agree? So here's the clean energy that I want to talk about today, which is the conviction is what will keep you clean. And the conviction will only come when you're willing to look at your blind spot. Part of that blind spot is your willingness to let go of your attachment to negative emotion or viewpoints about yourself. That is a spiritual detox. Because we're born into this, it's very easy for us to miss it. And my good friend and colleague, Susan Ney, who has spent many years working in the HR field, can you imagine? Susan would have a million stories to tell about what happens in the workplace. And I too, in my corporate life, certainly experienced like, holy moly, the work didn't cause the stress. It was the politics that caused the stress, right? So let's go back to this original question that I asked you. As you go back and you think, wow, if I had known that sooner, things would have been so different. So I'm going to ask you to step into imagination, which is the place of power, which is this place of infinite knowing, which is this place of natural power within you. I'm going to ask you to take yourself back to where you were way back when in your career or your business. That one thing that if you could do it all over again, you would do that. I'm going to ask you to go into your imagination and paint a picture or experience a movie where right now you could go into the past. You could redo your life from that perspective. And let's really make this a good movie. Like really, if you could do it all over again, and it was like this magic wand. It was like, yeah. How would you be feeling, and what would your body language be, and what would you have done differently? And see yourself doing that. See yourself doing it differently, the way you wished you could have done it. And really tap into that feeling. Yeah. Really let it soak in and welcome this feeling of, oh. Now, two things will happen right here, right now. Some of you will be able to go into that experience and go, yes. And you'll feel a shift in your body. And maybe some of you will go into that experience and go, no, I can't quite find it yet. So the good news is that the pirate energy is an archetypal energy. It's a guide that says, yeah, this is what it was like when you rewind the movie as if it's true. And so you have within you access to this power that is amplified, because in your imagination, you can do anything. And the invitation of the pirate is to get into your imagination more. So how do we have more fun? We use our imagination more. Now, the last thing your critical voice will want to do is do that. Why? Because it likes having control. So this is where the courage comes in. As you imagine how you want to grow and build your business right now, the invitation is, are you willing to let it be easier than it has been? Are you willing to enjoy yourself more? Are you willing to surrender to the power that is inside you rather than the habit of forcing things? When I did this exercise, if I could do it all over again, you know what mine was? I would have trusted my uniqueness. I would have trusted that these talents and abilities that I had were important and that I would have followed through on them more. That's what I would have done differently. And what I think is so much fun is this. Listen to this. Long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, before you got here, you decided that this time you would do it differently. You decided that this time it would be way more fun. And you decided that this time, whatever scared you would be your secret treasure. And that you would be bold enough to go inside, open up that treasure and say, yes, I will own this. And yes, shiver me timbers. I'm going to have way more fun bringing it out. Way more fun. That is priceless. There is no money in the world that can replace that. And I love what our friend Susan with the energy of money consciousness talked about. Money in the outer world or in your bank account will be a reflection of this inner treasure chest inside you. And so the challenge here is, ahoy, matey. Land ahoy. Creating from the inside out as if it's already here and it's already done, because it actually is. So we're stepping outside the boundaries of time. And that's why I love working intuitively, because I'm working with a morphic field. That's my gift. That's my talent. For many years, I denied that gift because it scared the living daylights out of me. And the surrender for me was the willingness to step into the greatness of the gift and drop any fear. Who am I to do this? In the words of Marianne Williamson, because I'm a woman and I'm alive. And how exciting that this woman is running for presidency in the US. How exciting to have that kind of consciousness. So to wrap up, I want to encourage you today. There is something inside of you that is new. There is a uniqueness inside of you that only you can express. And the pirate has come into your life today to remind you to have more fun, to drop the force and the pushing, and to come from this place of power that is always here. Use your imagination. And when you do, please know You're not alone, but it will sure feel that way. Please know that when you go into the dark night of the soul, that it's exciting. And now this is your touchstone. This is your North Star, because this is the treasure chest. You are igniting conformity and transforming it into creativity. Because long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, when you came into this lifetime, there's only one thing you will take away from this lifetime. Just one thing. So operate from that one thing. Otherwise, you've missed the point. That one thing, love is letting go of fear. Our ability to work with consciousness in such a way that our self-awareness will bring us back to our values and our principles rather than our conditioning. So here's the thing. It's like living in a dream world and you're waking up. So from now on, every time you see the pirate, here's the invitation. Be bold, be courageous, be willing to see and to know that you are waking up in different areas of your life. It's kind of just the way it is. So when we embrace it, to have more fun with it, to choose courage and start spiraling up that frequency scale, the ability to hold the space for ourselves as these negative emotions move through us, oh, there's nothing better. So I invite you to join me in my quest, my mission, to have more fun doing what I do, by you having more fun doing what you do. So thank you for joining me today. I want to leave it open to questions or comments or insights, Q&A, before I hand it back to Colleen. I've got my information in the chat.
I have to know if someone wants to share, because I really do believe this group of women are really putting themselves out there and being bold and being courageous. And I've seen a lot of them do that lately with their events that they're doing, communities that they're creating. Would someone like to unmute themselves and tell us, what have you done lately that was super bold and courageous in your business or in your life? Yeah, Susan.
Yeah, I got my first corporate client. So yay, 13 new clients, and they onboarded last month. So that was awesome.
That's huge. Yeah. And so was that something that before you really hadn't tapped into that market and you had just decided, I'm going to go after this and I'm going to tap into that market? What happened?
It's a nod to Cheryl, because I actually have a highly spiritual resource in my back pocket. And I spoke to her in mid-December and I said, what should I be doing? And she said, oh, I have an idea, it's coming through. I have an idea. And I said, oh, I know exactly what that is. And I put that into immediate action, which is a game changer, right? When you go into immediate action. And that's how that came about. And it was always there. I just hadn't connected to it.
Right. Yeah, that's like that power of money, right? It's just sitting there. You just didn't see it until you did. And
the way is already present. You just need to see it.
Yeah. I love that. Pam, go ahead. Did you want to share? Thanks for sharing, Susan.
So last week I participated in a whole brain thinking workshop, certification workshop, and I became a certified practitioner of the whole brain model. And I have to tell you, talk about putting yourself out there. I cried every day. And yet I told everyone I was doing it. And I had so much support from my friends and my family, and also the people who are doing the certification. And it's just going to open up a whole new world for me, because now I can do executive leadership workshops and I can incorporate the writing into that. So I am like really excited. And Colleen, you know, you and I have been talking for months about what am I going to do for skill set and the writing. And that's my hope. In fact, it's on my list to go find work clothes because I actually don't even have work clothes. I just have yoga clothes because I'm a writer. So I have to go find some work clothes. I'm going next week to observe my very first workshop as a certified practitioner. So you will be hearing more about this and I'm so excited. So this was perfect, Cheryl, because I was bold and I was courageous and I used my imagination and I am really proud of myself.
Congratulations, Pam. That's awesome. Yeah, Cheryl is an amazing spiritual guide. And she just gets these downloads on really where your next steps are, what you should be doing, the feels. I'm really even get into it all. But Cheryl, I don't know if you have any workshops coming up or if you want to put your information so anyone here might want to get a little taste of who you are and how you work by doing like an Akashic record reading with you. I really feel like that could be powerful for anyone here that hasn't experienced having some time with you one-on-one and just the power that you possess and bring through a phone call. I think everyone here would love to tap into that at some point.
Absolutely. I'm going to invite everyone, book a call with me. My link is in the chat. Let's talk.
I don't see it.
Oh, okay. I'll put it in again.
Okay. Maybe it's going to an individual person instead of the group.
Oh, I could have done that. I could have done that to you. Okay. So, yeah. So book some time with me and let's do a mini intuitive Akashic reading and see where we go. And then from there, what I love is that, intuition is one thing, but action is another. And so when we use the combination of tools, I'm so excited with the NLP, the timeline therapy, the hypnotherapy that I now incorporate into my mentorship packages as well. That's a powerful combination. And for those who are here in Vancouver, Canada, and unless you want to fly in and join Susan and I March 18th live, my first live event since COVID, I'm so excited. And Susan and I are just thrilled to bring the combination of HR and intuition together, the combination of corporate and imagination, intuition, and that spiritual component, so that we're staying true to ourselves. We're not selling our souls out to get things done. We're doing it from this place of ease and letting go of the habit of force. And so that's what we're up to. So Colleen, thank you. I just so appreciate you and what you're up to. And I absolutely honor the courage and the grit for every single woman on this call. Keep doing what you're doing. Please talk to me. Let's have more fun doing this together. And I
put your email in the chat and I dropped it into the Facebook video that we're doing right now as well. I've been taking a lot of this stuff and dropping it into the Facebook video, but I know that if you have a link and you drop that in there and you send it to everyone, then if anyone on this call has not worked with Cheryl, you have to at least get on the call with her to connect once, because she's super powerful in what she does. And here's the thing. It's not Cheryl. It's literally Cheryl accepting, surrendering to, realizing what she's meant to do and allowing it to come through. It's that easy. It's like Mary and how Mary is so successful in being a business coach and the clients that she works with, because she's accepting those gifts and she's allowing it to come through her to be able to be a gift to others, right? Same with Susan. When I think of money, I think of Susan Glusica, right? Seriously, I do. That's what you want people to think, right? I'm telling you right now, when you think of Grant Cardone, what is the first thing everyone thinks of? Sales. He wants to be known in sales. Susan, money, right? Cheryl, I just think of this like amazing intuitive power that you have. It's magical. And so for each one of you, and I love that you said that, Mary, allowing is the key. We all have the gifts, but allowing is the key. And what I love about what Cheryl brings to the table, just like Bonnie said, it was amazing having a conversation with her, because what do? We create blind spots for ourselves. and we don't know they're there. And Cheryl's like, oh, look at there. Look at that little blind spot that you've got. Let me just explain to you what you're doing here. Let's move that out of the way. And then you're like, oh, wow, I had no idea. Right? It, like Susan said, was there all along. We're just sitting there all along. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know until we know. Then when we know, what do, Susan? Action. Oh yeah, it's that easy. So thank you so much, Cheryl. Today was amazing. And I just want to let all of you know that next Thursday, I'm dropping it in again. Next Thursday, we have our, I think I just dropped it in. Next Thursday, we have our lunch and learn. Oh, sorry, Lil dropped right behind me, so I'll drop it again. There's our lunch and learn for free. You guys can join the global networking event. I think all of you are members here on the phone, except for Susan May anyway. And so make sure you come. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about being lucky in business, and invite your friends if you want them to check out the community, or, you know, you can add value to your friends to say, hey, come network with some awesome women, right? They might meet someone there that they need to meet. And be prepared, because this coming Thursday, when we have our lunch and learn, I'm going to be picking some of you out of the room and spotlighting you to come up and talk about yourself and what you do and why, you know, what being lucky means to you. Because I think being lucky means something different to every single person. But I think being lucky is easy. How many times have you heard someone say, oh yeah, they're so lucky, they're so lucky, they're so lucky. Are they? Or do they just believe, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. You're going to meet some fabulous ladies, members. Most of you are all members in this room. I need more member gifts to give away. If you have a gift that you want to give away, every time I do a lunch and learn, I spin the wheel and I give away at least 2 gifts every single month. So if you have a gift, Mary, I don't have any from you. Bonnie, I don't have any from you. Karen, I don't have any from you. Whitney, I need some. Even if it's a ticket to your next event that you're charging for and you want to give a free ticket, if it's you know, time with you that you would normally charge for, do not give me something that you give away for free. Okay, so you can email me at info@colleenbiggs.net. That's my email, info. Unless you have my email, Colleen@colleenbiggs.net, you're already emailing me. Send me what your gift is and the value of it, and then let me know if there's a link I can share with them, or if I just need to connect them with you, and I'll connect them with you after we do the lunch and learn. But I love, love, love to give away your free gifts. And ladies, this is another way for you to get visible, because that person's going to get on the phone with you or go through your course or whatever it is. And then now they're in your nurturing sequence, and now they're in your community and part of what you're doing. So smart, smart, smart. Give something away for free at our lunch and learns. It's another way for you guys to do that. Okay. So Cheryl, thank you so much. I'm going to drop this Inner Pirate seminar as well in there. All of you can connect with her. Thank you so much for being here today. You were phenomenal. I absolutely love you to death. I'm going to go ahead and stop our live and stop our recording, and I will send that to you. And ladies,